Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Gravity Sports Podcast. My name is Terrence, and I'm here with Maria. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Joel Embid's first game back from injury, top 10 QBs in the 2023-2024 season, Rondo's retirement from the NBA, and this year's upcoming draft, NBA draft. Before we get started, how are you doing, Maria? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are
Okay.
you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I appreciate it. I'm doing good. But
Good.
I want to talk about Joel Embid's game from last night. He dropped 24 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals. It's his first game back for injury. I don't know if you watched the game, but he looked really gassed out there. But how do you feel about his return from last night?
Um, uh, for his legs,
Mm.
and I told him it's something a lot of players uh with quickly, like if they tear their meniscus, very it's gonna take a very long time
Mm.
until we get back on the court. But for obvious reasons, the Philadelphia 76 decided to allow him to early do like all the low with the presence. And as expected, Joel Embiid did not look the best.
Yeah.
Um, and however, I do think it's a good thing since he did not look his best in this first game back. I think it's technically better that he came back this early than him like starting in a playoff setting, because if he already looked gassed the last couple of games of the season, I could only imagine what he would have looked like during playoff time, where you see teams really start to lock in
Mm.
and actually play harder. So, like, he's getting the reps in with the team, and his presence is being felt on the court, um, which is a good thing for the playoff start. But he did just look totally gassed.
Yeah, he really did look gassed out there. He was getting to the foul line a lot. He took 12 free throws. He hit all 12 of his free throws, but he did get help from his other teammates such as Kelly Oubre, Tobias Harris. Even though Tyrese Maxey wasn't playing, some of his other teammates were stepping up and contributing to a win against the OKC team, top two team in the West. And I think for the Sixers, this is it's obviously a good sign to have him back early, get him ready for the playoffs coming up soon. And by then, I think Joel he should be like back into the groove of things, back into his rhythm, and be playing at a MVP level like we're accustomed to him seeing night in and night out. And I think the Sixers they're currently in the fifth seed, I believe, fifth or sixth seed. So
Yeah,
oh no, they're in the oh no, they're in the play-in actually. They're in the play-in. They're the AC.
they're in the
Yeah,
play.
yeah, they're the AC. So it's good that Embiid came back, and hopefully they're getting to the they'll get a playoff spot or they're gonna compete for one. But it is glad to see Joel Embiid back on the court, especially since like you said, playoff time is coming up. Get him healthy, get him ready for the playoffs, and it's a lot going on in the league now. Especially I want to talk about the Bucks too. The Bucks they're the seventh seed. I mean the second seed right now. But ever since they fired Adrian Griffin and brought in Doc Rivers, they've been struggling, especially like on the defensive end and a little bit on the offensive end. But what do you think the Bucks need to do differently moving forward?
It's just like Doc Rivers has. I think we just gonna have to see how this team does in the playoffs. To be honest, I mean, they were good even before they acquired Doc Rivers as their head coach.
Mm.
Very good squad, but there was still conflict with the coaching and the players, and ultimately the player is gonna win. The best player on that team is want to win that whole ordeal because they want to make them happy. And we see a kind of like a decline in how they played um, after the changing of the coaches. But Doc Rivers is just a coach that will do great in the regular season, but once the playoffs hit, it's even though we've seen a couple of games where it has been iffy, where the coaching has been, it's just Giannis and Dame. I mean, they're fantastic players, so they're gonna do their part. Has Dame been playing technically up to par? Since he's joined the Bucks, not really, but he's still been able to maintain and like win games for the Bucks. And then is great, so it's just I just want to see this team. Or I just wish we could fast forward to the playoffs and see how it does in that setting.
Yeah, because obviously Doc Rivers has a thing for blowing 3-1 leads in the playoffs. So we're just gonna have to see. Right now, it's not looking too good right now because they just lost to the Wizards the other night. And
Oh yeah, they did.
if you're losing to the Wizards, then you're not gonna really get far in the playoffs. But I like this Bucks team. I really do. Now, obviously, they're horrible defensively, and I think they knew that when they acquired Damian Lillard from the Drew Holiday trade. But I can't say the Bucks did get better offensively, but obviously defensively they got worse.
Hey,
And
what?
like people say, defense wins championships, and the Bucks they're not a good defensive team at all really. So like you said, we're just gonna have to wait and see um come playoff time how this team performs under the bright lights. And one more thing before we shift over to the West, how do you feel about the Knicks with Jalen Brunson and
How
obviously
do I feel about the?
yeah, how do you feel about the New York Knicks? They're currently in the fifth seed, but they've been losing a couple games recently. They lost three in a row, and playoff time is coming soon. They still got Julius Randle out, but how do you feel about the Knicks going into the playoffs?
Like I don't know what it is, but I just don't take them serious. You know that last year they had to prove wrong because they played the Cavs last year and
Mm.
they beat the Cavs. The Cavs that it's like I'll count them, but then they'll do something that'll just kind of like even though the Knicks winning last year technically wasn't like a huge surprise, but it just surprised me because I just don't take with Jalen Brunson going crazy and with him doing what he's doing. I is about it. um, I'll congratulate them. I feel like that they just gonna be the regular season that a team that do well in the regular season probably not too much in the playoffs. So it's neutral with the New York Knicks.
Mm. Yeah, cause I like the New York Knicks. I really do. Now defensively, I think they're a really good defensive team, especially with Josh Hart the Josh Hart trade from last season. I really like that pickup, and they're getting production out of their role players with Dante DiVincenzo, Deuce McBride, and even Isaiah Hartenstein. Even though he's injured right now, he's been playing really good at the center position ever since Mitchell Robinson went down with that injury, and I think once they get Julius Randle back and healthy, I don't know when he's gonna come back. Hopefully, he comes back for the playoffs. I really think like you said, this Knicks team. I don't know how to feel about them either. One day they can be a really good team. Then the next day they're just very inconsistent. So we're just gonna have to see when it comes to playoff time. Now to
Yeah,
the
sorry.
oh no, you good. The now to shift over to the West. The West is we really don't know who's gonna be the one seed. Now you got Denver at 53 and 23, and both Minnesota and OKC they're 52 and 23. But I think Denver is going back to back because they're starting five. You can't beat their starting five. Obviously, you got MVP Jokic, and you got his sidekick Jamal Murray. And I think the most important player on this team, other than obviously Jokic and Murray, their most important player is Aaron Gordon. I think he's the X factor for this team because defensively he brings so much value to the defensive side of the ball, especially with obviously Jokic. He's not as bad as a defender as he once was, but he's obviously not the best. And Aaron Gordon fills that void for him on defense. And on offense, he's such a threat because once Jokic gets to the paint and throws a lob to Aaron Gordon, he's right there to catch the lob. for him. So I think Aaron Gordon is really like the X factor for this team. Obviously, you got KCP and Michael Porter Jr. Around to hit a bunch of threes, but the West is really stacked. Now the team that I'm worried about the most is the Clippers. I'm worried about them because for one, they blow a lot of leads. They really do blow a lot of leads, and for two, now they've been obviously PG and Kawhi have been healthy, but then again it's like they're so injury prone they could just get injured any second. But how do you feel about the Clippers? Do you think they can go past the second round?
Yes, I'm looking at the standings right now. They could go
Mm,
past the second round.
yeah.
The second round. Um, Second round, I'm not too sure. I wouldn't say 100% sure they could make it past the second round. They have a chance to make it. It's a 50-50 chance that they can make
Mm,
it past the first round, but the second round, I don't know because the competition only gonna get tougher after the first round, and
mm,
Dallas gonna give them one heck of a run.
yeah.
So like I don't know. It's just you got James Harden who's facilitating the offense, and we know how he is when it comes to the playoff time. He
Mm,
tends to choke, tends to fold, tends to disappear. Um, and then you have the history with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard getting hurt, and on top of that, even though they did play 1 year where they weren't unhealthy. However, they still lost. So it's just you really don't know about the Clippers because they've been losing to some teams. That's like, how are you losing to this team? Because if I'm not mistaken, I think they lost to the Kings a
yeah, they
couple
lost to the
nights
King.
ago.
Yeah, last night. Yeah, they lost to Kings.
So it's like still like a lot of question marks. And it sucks because they have the best two-way players in the league. You got a fan of the year candidate Russell Westbrook who comes off the bench. So it just sucks. There's a lot of question marks around the paper, the team.
Mm. Yeah, on paper they have a really good team, but and obviously it took them a while to get going because they were like when they acquired James Harden they were 0-5 when they first got him, but then they went on that huge streak where they were like I think they were like 15-2 at one point, but then when Russ got hurt, I think that's when it all went down for the Clippers when Westbrook got hurt because outside of Norman Powell, he was their best player off the bench. He brings all the hustle, makes all the defensive plays, all the hustle plays, and then once he went down, I think that team, like Ty Lue said, they don't have an identity right now, and that's the worst thing to say about your team, especially when it's close to playoff time. So that the Clippers, I think they're the team that scares me the most, and with the way the standings are right now, they're gonna be going up against Dallas, who has two of the best ISO players in the league with Luka and Kyrie. So, and yes, they do have the best two way forwards in the league with PG and Kawhi. We just there's so many question marks around this team, so we're gonna have to see how it is coming to playoff time. Now I'm looking at the playing teams, the Kings, Suns, Lakers, and Warriors. Do you do you think the Rockets can make the plan or somehow push to make the plan? Even though they're currently sitting at they're 38 and 37 right now, 3 games behind the Warriors. Do you think they can make that late playing push?
But I think right now I'm like, um, no, they've lost the last couple of. I'm just, it's like the players they gonna do what they do, but I still think they gonna lose. I don't know who they're playing. That would
Mm.
help me a lot. If I feel like they, but I still go those.
Okay. Because looking at Golden State, they're sitting at the 10th seed right now, and I'm not gonna count out Golden State until they're completely out, because obviously, like in 2022 they won the championship, even though that was two. It was a season ago, or 2 seasons ago. I mean, but I'm obviously not gonna count them out. I still believe in Steph. As long as you got Steph, anything is possible. And even with Clay struggling, he could still go off any given night. And Draymond, he's gonna do. Draymond does all the dirty work. He's a dirty work player. And the only thing that's really holding this team back is their bench. Now I know Jordan Poole, he wasn't playing good last season, but outside of Curry, he was really like their second best offensive player outside of Curry. And
Right.
with Andrew Wiggins, I didn't like that contract that they gave him. Now I know he was their second best. He was arguably their second best player in that playoff run in 2022. But since then, he hasn't really done anything since that playoff run. And that max contract that they gave him back in 2022, I didn't like that, because I was skeptical about Andrew Wiggins performing like that throughout throughout the contract, and so far he hasn't really performed up to standards. And it was bad to the point where there was rumors that Golden State was going to trade him, but they couldn't find a trade. And what's messed up about that is they had to throw Chris Paul in the trade to make the trade more valuable. So with Golden State going into next season, I think they need to shake things up, and if that means getting rid of Andrew Wiggins, then I think that's what they need to do moving forward, in order to
Yeah.
salvage Curry's last few years of this level of play. Because who knows how long Curry's gonna be playing like this,
Exactly. I
Yeah.
agree.
But moving on, I'm gonna switch over to the NFL side of things. Who are your top 10 QBs? Who are your top 10 quarterbacks this past season?
So I'm gonna start off with obviously Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's number one unanimously.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta go Lamar, even though he kind of terrible in the playoffs against Patrick, but it's okay. He still had. So Lamar will go number two. Number three, I'm gonna go Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow. Okay.
Or Joe Burrow. Number four, give me Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert. Okay. All right. Okay.
I'll go Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts at 5.
Then
Mm.
I'm gonna put Josh Allen at 6.
Oh, wondering what you gonna say, Josh Allen. Yeah, Josh Allen kind of
Yeah.
low at 6.
Um, 7. So TJ Stroud. Yeah, I
TJ
see
Stroud at
that.
7. Okay. All right.
Yeah, crazy. But 8.
You said who? You said Dak Prescott.
Yep.
Dak Prescott at 8. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay.
9.
Tua.
Do it.
Tua. Okay.
And then this is biased. This is my boy.
Justin Fields at 10. We just.
I got my boy.
Oh, so you a Bears fan?
Oh well, not anymore. But yeah, I was.
Well, at least y'all finna get Caleb Williams though. At least y'all finna get him.
But
Okay, so I'm gonna start off at 10. At 10, I have Dak Prescott at 10. Now the reason why I have him at 10, obviously he's coming off an MVP caliber season. It's just
He is.
it's just the playoffs, the big time games. He struggles so much in the big time, especially this past season. He struggles so much, so that's why I have him at 10. Now, number 9, this is controversial, but I have Jalen Hurts at number 9. And the reason why I have him at 9 is because obviously this past season it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like
It,
the year before. It wasn't like the year before, the
yeah.
Super Bowl year.
That's,
It wasn't like that. Especially like his offensive line was kind of banged up, so he
mm,
didn't have a bad season by any standards. But it wasn't like it wasn't the season I expected him to have. So that's why I have him at
yeah.
9. Yeah. At 8, I have Jordan Love at 8. Jordan Love. 7, I got CJ Stroud. Now 6,
Yeah.
I was surprised you didn't say this name. 6, I have Matthew Stafford. I have Matthew Stafford at
Oh my
6.
God.
Oh, I was surprised.
Stafford.
I was so surprised you didn't say Matthew Stafford. I was like, wow, she didn't say Matthew Stafford. But yeah, I have him at 6. 5, I have Justin Herbert. Now the reason I have him at 5 is because obviously we all know the arm talent he has, but it's just now he has no one to throw to because obviously they traded Keenan Allen,
They
they
did.
lost Mike Williams in free agency, and now he basically has no one to throw to. So that's why I have him at 5.
Man,
Joe Burrow, I have Joe Burrow at 4, and the reason why I have him at 4 is because he's coming. Obviously, he got injured, so that's why I have
he
him at
did.
4. I have him at 4. 3,
Yeah.
I have Josh Allen, and I don't think Josh Allen can go higher than 3. Controversially, 2. He can't go higher than 3 or 2. 2, obviously, I have the MVP Lamar Jackson, and 1 is obviously Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, that's my list.
Now,
I was so surprised you didn't say Matthew Stafford. I'm like she probably forgot about him.
I did. I don't know how I missed him. That's crazy.
Now obviously there's some quarterbacks that snubbed like Jared Goff, Tua,
Yeah,
um
to
who else? What's his name? Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy.
yeah,
Yeah. Now I like Brock Purdy. The thing is with him, I just think he's only good because of the offense he's in, the system he's in, and he literally has all the players around him. Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, CJ, Christian McCaffrey. He has everything he needs to be successful. I think you put any quarterback in that system, they'll be successful. Even like Kenny Pickett, for example, you put him in the offense, so he'll be just like Brock Purdy. So that's why
yeah.
I don't have Brock Purdy in my top 10. Now,
Huh.
a player that I thought about putting Kirk Cousins at number 10 instead of Dak Prescott,
Mm,
but I couldn't do that. I wasn't gonna be that disrespectful. But even though Kirk was having an MVP caliber season until he got injured. He was having a great season until he got injured, but
mm.
I couldn't put him at. I wasn't gonna do Dak like that. But yeah, that's my top 10. Now,
Valid.
um, moving on, I want to talk about Rajon Rondo. Now he recently retired, just a couple of days ago. And do you think he's a Hall of Famer? Do you think he'll make it to the Hall of Fame?
I think he'll make it. Yeah. It's a lot of players that's kind of like,
Do you think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer?
no, I don't
No,
first ballot.
because this is his resume: two-time champion, four-time All-Star. He made the All NBA 13 once. All Rookie second team, and he's 15th all time on the assist list with 7,584. Now some people do have him as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now me personally, I don't have him first ballot. I think he'll get in eventually,
Yeah,
but
he will.
I don't have him as a first ballot Hall of Famer. But I do think with Rondo, I think he was like the last true point guard. And what I mean by that is like one of the last point guards who can like actually um run an offense like a Steve Nash or even like a Chris Paul still playing today. And I don't think we're gonna see another point guard such as Rajon Rondo for a really long time, because now all point guards now they're all score first point guards, not pass first point guards. And I think I think it's kind of sad now because obviously not like Trey Young, for example. He's a good point guard. Obviously he averages double digits in assists, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he can't run an elite offense. Like, well, Rondo couldn't really run an elite offense, but like a Steve Nash or even like a Chris Paul. But I think he was so good at like getting his teammates in the right spot to score or even make a read, tell which player to be where. I don't think there are any point guards like Rondo in the league today. Even though
Very
he
good.
wasn't really a good scorer, but he did everything else so great, such as like um playing defense, rebounding, and obviously passing. But I don't think Rondo is a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I do expect him to get in eventually. And where do you have Rondo ranked like on the all time point guard list?
I think he's top 15.
Top 15.
Gotta be. Yeah. I don't think he first ballot simply because like I give Rondo all the praise in the world for being obviously just like because I value traditionality when it comes to like certain positions in the NBA.
Mm,
And obviously that's a dying the point like being a pure point guard is they is dead. It's
yeah.
dead. Now so like well going back watching his highlights you just love seeing that. Like I think Chris Paul was the only one still left. But that's just something I just like to see the like these people playing the exact role that they're supposed to play
Yeah.
and not doing anything ordinary. I like that. I like that style of basketball. Um, yeah, he was very important to that Boston Celtics team. He was a key piece in the Lakers winning a championship bubble. So like definitely in the Hall of Fame because of those circumstances. But it's just the fact that he was probably like the fourth or fifth best player on the team
Yeah.
during all is what kind of knocked him off of being first ballot.
And then too, people forget like he tore his ACL. I think back in like 2013, he had tore his ACL. So that's really when like he stopped making like the All Star teams, all the NBA teams. Because if it wasn't for that ACL injury, because that sapped a lot of his athleticism as well. And I think
Mm,
he could have kept building onto his resume if it wasn't for the injury. And if it wasn't for the injury, I think he could have possibly been a first ballot Hall of Famer if it wasn't for that
yeah,
knee injury he suffered. And then he probably Boston wouldn't have traded him to Dallas. But yeah, I think I have Rondo. I don't think he's top 10. I think like you say he's in that top 15 range, like um 13, 14, maybe 13 to 14. So that's where I have him. I have him ranked. But I do think he's definitely a Hall of Famer, just like you said, just not for his belly.
yeah.
And all right, moving on. I want to talk about March Madness. Now, obviously, we seen with Angel Reese, she's declaring for an NBA draft. So, what team do you think needs to draft Angel Reese?
I'm gonna be honest. I was thinking Angel Reese. I got two destinations for her. Angel Reese on Indiana Fever would be nice. No
Mm,
front. I don't think that's gonna happen. Since Indiana Fever got one more draft pick, and we obviously know who like who's going to Taylor Clark. But that would be the era for the Indiana Fever. That would be the Twin Towers down below in the Leah Boston could start at five. The Angel
mm,
Reese. That would be great. Interior defense. Nobody coming through the paint.
mm,
But I think she and the other team, another destination would be the Sparks, and I say the Sparks simply because she just fits in with the culture over there. So I would like to see her for. I would love to see her play for either of those teams, but whoever chooses her, at the end of the day, uh, they getting a good player. They getting a phenomenal piece. Um, everything.
mm. So
Yeah,
do,
those
do
are the
you
two.
think she is she a top five draft pick, or is she gonna be a lottery pick or late first round, or where do you think she's going in the
She
draft?
she should be top five pick.
Mm.
Um, right now off the dome, I can only name two players that are solidified better than her. I need to go back and do research on the other players, but it's just two players, and to me, that's just Caitlin Clark and Cameron Brink. I
Mm.
think that are better than her right now that I can think of off the dome.
So where do you think Paige Buckers is gonna land in the draft
Okay,
if he
Paige
declares for the draft?
Buckers. Yeah, she already came out and said that she gonna stay another year at UConn because today
Mm.
was the last day for women college athletes to play for the draft.
Yeah.
And then Paige, I don't think Haley Van Lee did either. I could be wrong. I could, but Paige, yeah, she didn't declare, so she'll be coming next year, which I'm still.
Mm.
But yeah,
Okay. Now I don't know if you've seen this, but Bronny James he's entering the transfer portal. He's transferred from USC. So what team do you think needs Bronny?
needs Connie.
Yeah.
Let me be honest. Okay, his stats not looking the best. His
Yeah.
stats don't look. Uh, I'm not sure if he's a defensive minded player. You know, if Bronny is a defensive player.
I think his play style is like I think he's gonna be a 3-and-D type of player. That's what it's looking like. He's gonna be a 3-and-D, like kind of like a Danny Green or even like a KCP. You know what I mean? That's kind of what his play style reminds me of, cause it's not like he doesn't like exceed at one thing, but he's so good at other things, like playing on ball, cutting, running off screens, shooting threes. That's kind of what his game is like. That's why I said his game is reminding me of like a lot of like Danny Green when he was in the San Antonio Spurs, running off screens, shooting threes, cutting to the basket. So if I had to pick, I think a team that could use him is I think UCLA. I think that'll be a good team for him, or even Ohio State. Ohio State would be a good team for him too. That's kind of
That's
where,
why
yeah.
I want him to go to Ohio State just because I think if I'm obviously because his dad is from up there.
Mm.
I can't remember if no, I don't think he said that, but I just think that bring it back to where the roots come from. Your dad from Ohio.
Mm.
More than likely, if Veron probably went to college, he probably would have went to Ohio State. So it's just that's why I think he should go. Not due to his play style, because I'm not 100% hit because offensively he isn't that great.
Yeah.
But either Ohio State or I feel like a team like Alabama could probably use him.
Mm.
So he can somewhat give you a defense kind of thing. Alabama, even though they did make it far in the March, they aren't expected because they do lack a lot of.
Yeah. Now I want to talk about the men's March Madness now. So who do you have? Do you have Purdue or NC State is advancing to championship game? Who you got?
Between I have Purdue,
Mm.
but I don't want to stay out. I don't know what number NC State is, but I don't think a lot of people expected NC State to make what they did. So go Purdue has been killing it this year's March Madness, which is good because first round last year.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, but due to his performances the last couple of games, I think that Purdue pulls it.
Purdue. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I think Purdue is gonna pull it out too, especially like the way their center is playing. What's the name? What's his name? Zach. Yeah, and I think not a lot of people are not gonna agree with this, but I think he could be a lottery pick in this year's upcoming draft in NBA, cause he reminds me a lot of Yao Ming. That's what his play style reminds me of. He's 7'2", and it's not like he's slow footed. He can play really good defense. He can get rebounds. He just had a 30-20 game the other game. And I think he could be he could be a really good player in the NBA. Like I say, he reminds me a lot of Yao Ming. Not because he's just tall, but he has a really good post game as well. People people don't notice that, but he has a really good post game, especially in that the last game they played in the tournament. But I do have Purdue
Yeah,
advancing now. What's the other game that's coming? The other game
it's
it's
versus I don't know who you are they playing.
um let me see. I think it's hold on. Oh yeah, UConn
Versus
Alabama. Yeah, UConn Alabama. Yeah.
uh,
So yeah. Who you got winning that game?
I got UConn winning it all. I think they gonna two-peat, even though it's been like a couple of
Mm,
years, a lot of years since the last team. But I think UConn got the got to do that. And I also want to mention that NC State also got their dude DJ Burns.
yeah.
I forgot.
Mm,
So I'm excited to see the game because it's obviously gonna be the battle of the bigs. In my opinion, I do think Zach Edey is slow.
yeah.
I think Zach Edey's slow. That's just me, but that doesn't negate the fact that he's still a good defender, still a good rim protector, and still can give you offensive boards, whatever. Do what he got to do simply because he gets tall. Uh, Now with DJ Burns, he might be big and shorter than Zach Edey, but he's got footwork,
Yeah.
and to me, his footwork is better than Zach Edey. He looks more agile on the court than Zach Edey. Um, so I'm just excited to see that because I forgot that
Mm,
they had DJ Burns. So yeah, that's gonna be a good game. But I got
yeah.
UConn with beating Alabama because I think that UConn Alabama finally gonna meet a team
Mm,
that's gonna lock them up.
mm. Okay. 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 Now I do have UConn advancing too, but I feel like Alabama they could upset them. And the only reason I say that is because Alabama has they have a really good defense, and their last two games that they played, they held their opponents to, I think it was under 80 points or something like that, I believe. So that's why I'm skeptical about going with UConn, but I do have an advancing, but it could go either way for both teams. And the last thing I want to talk about, I want to talk about this year's upcoming draft for the NBA. A lot of people are saying like this this draft class is gonna be one of the weakest it's ever been in a while. Do you think this draft class is weak or is gonna be weak?
Thing is, a lot of people just think it's weak because obviously there's not a lot of big names in this year's draft class that I can think of, and really, um, however, but like the draft still got talented kids, and
Mm,
so just we gonna plug them in with the teams, and I think they actually surprised a lot of people when they play out on the NBA courts. But I can understand why people think it's weak because, like I said, it's not a lot of big names like stick. Really, the only big names is like Ron
yeah, Rob
Dillon.
Dillingham and yeah, and Ron Holland as well in the NLB.
Oh
I'm not
yeah,
in the NBL. I'm sorry, NBL. Yeah, and also Reed Shepard from Duke. Yeah, too. And one more thing before we close out. Now, how do you feel about the best team in the East, the Boston Celtics? How do you feel about them going?
the Boston Celtics are they're a finals team.
Mm,
I think they should make the finals. Um, okay, so this is I don't want to say it's a different squad, but then again, it is because they've added for something that they did the past couple of seasons. They've still
mm,
been able to find the best that he played for. Where he's the leader, 'cause I don't think it's the best team, but this is the best team where Jason Tatum really good at the team that he's played for. I think that I have high expectations for them. If they don't win this, if they don't win next year, then I don't think the Boston like then you blow it up. But like right
You
now, they're
blow it
still
up.
good. Yeah, yeah, because you gotta trade Tatum or Jalen Brown because like they've been playing with each other since 2019. Because Tatum was drafted at 19, Kyrie
Mm.
was at 18. So Tatum been with the Boston Celtics team, and they've been to conference finals in the finals in that from today to from 2019 2018, and it's like the same cycle. They're one of the best teams in the regular season. They're a threat in the playoffs. They reach a certain level and then they just collapse. Like I said, this is the best team. So we've seen Jason Tatum with the team that was not as good as this year's Boston Celtics team make the finals. He collapsed, which is understandable. He's playing to go to State Warriors. You're playing Steph Curry. It's okay. You're excused for that L. But Jason Tatum, if you get to the finals again and collapse like you did against Curry, we're gonna start questioning you. And I think you blow it up at that point because if they just gonna keep making the finals, like they gonna keep losing. But blow it up if they don't win this year or they.
Mm. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Cause the biggest threat to the Boston Celtics is themselves, really. Cause they really
Exactly.
they blow a lot of leads. Especially then the recent examples against the Atlanta Hawks where they were up by 30, and the Hawks came back they came back to win. And I think this, like you said, this is the best Celtics team since Jason Tatum was drafted. They got Porzingis, they got Drew Holiday, they got a good bench, and they got Joe Mazzulla. And I'm expecting them to make it to the finals as well. Now, even if they lose in like a 7 game series, I don't think I will blow it up, especially since like they already gave Jalen Brown that $300 max contract deal last summer. But I think like with Boston, like I said, the biggest threat to them is themselves. And if they don't get it done this season, I think someone got to be fired. And whether it's in the front office or the coaching staff, someone has to be fired because this team is too talented for
But
them not to win.
you've gotten rid of your coaches though. You've in the years they've been and since Jason Tatum done played for the organization. Since Jason Tatum done played for the organization, they done had 3 different coaches. They had Brad Stevens, well, he didn't quit, but he had another position. You had Ime Udoka, and under all these coaches, they've been damn near the best team in the East,
Mm-mm.
and they've made deep runs in the playoffs under all these coaches since drafting Jason Tatum. So it's like, and then but you fire your manager, which I think is Brad Stevens, and I think he's done pretty good in trying to build pieces and add pieces around a team that's already great. So it's like
Mm.
I don't even think you fire the people. I think really gotta these players gotta go. This team
So hypothetically speaking, if they do lose in the playoffs, and if you're in the front office, who do you trade Jason Tatum or do you trade Jalen Brown?
I think you obviously trade the play. You obviously wouldn't trade your best players, so you gotta trade the second man up. I would have to. Like there's a team out there that's LeBron, and
Okay, okay. But yeah, I think with Boston, about they like you said, they have everything that they could possibly need. They just need to go out there and prove it in the playoffs. And if they don't, then I don't think Brad Stevens is gonna get rid of him. But I think they might either get rid of Porzingis or they might get rid of Drew Holiday. One of those two, because this team is way too talented for them to not even go to the finals. But we're just gonna have to wait and see And one more question. Who do you have winning MVP?
My MVP, I'm stuck between two players at the moment. I know when I was asked this the other day, I said Nikola Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Luka still got a fighting chance to pull it off. Um, but I'd rather anybody but SGA. So there's
Why not SGA?
I just can't I can't do the SGA and I can't do the SGA stuff because it's not. It's like with him, it's I know if that's the thing that I'm like I have to realize MVP is just it's just one season, nothing else. It's not going by playoffs. It's not going by previous seasons. But like with Luca and what he like Luca, I ain't gonna say he's the sole point, but like Luca is the best, and you could argue the most impactful player on that team. I don't think you could say that for SGA. I think SGA is the best player, but I don't think he's the most impactful player. I think Chet is the most impactful player over there on that team. And also Luca ain't playing with no player that's in any discussions to win any type of award. SGA is playing with a player that got the potential to win Rookie of the Year, and if I'm not mistaken, the last I checked, Chet was in D-point talks. He might not win it, but it's the fact that he in those conversations. So I'm just like, I think Luka has more of an argument than SGA. They both averaging 30. The only difference is SGA team is better and they're a higher seed. So it's like I think it should go to either Luka or Nikola at this point.
Luka or Nicole. Okay, okay. Now, me personally, I have Jokic winning his third MVP. He should have won MVP last season. He definitely should have won it last season. But I do have him winning this season. Winning it this season. He's literally the best player in the league on the best team, and I don't see why he doesn't win his third. Should have been fourth, but third MVP this season. But and one more thing, you're a Grizzlies fan, right? You're a Grizzlies fan.
Yeah.
So obviously this season isn't like how the Grizzlies plan for it to go. But what do you think the Grizzlies should they make any moves? I'm going into next season. Do you trade anybody? Do you sign different players? Like, what do you think the Grizzlies need to do next season?
Okay, so I'm stuck in the middle about what we should really do. On one hand, I want us to keep our draft pick, and I want us to draft either Reed Shepard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just want us to get Reed Shepard because he's a bucket getter and he can play. And one of the biggest identities of the Memphis Grizzlies is defensive. On the other hand, it's like, oh, but we need a big. We don't have a 5 at all. We traded Steven Adams, which I understand why we did, but I don't think we thought about the repercussions of us trading. So, it's a lot. Like, it's a lot with this Grizzlies team. Like, I want Jaren not play the 5.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't. He does well at the 5, but that's not his spot. I don't want him to end up like an Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is still a good player. I want Jared Jackson to play where he wants to play, and that means gotta play. And I would love for us in the off season keep our draft pick, but then we would have to trade some players and let go of some players to sign on another big. The bigs that I'm looking at are just people who are a big body in the paint, can rim protect, and get boards because Steven Adams could do that very well for us. Jaren Jackson cannot get a rebound. He's not good at rebounding. But a 7-footer, but he's obviously not a good rebounder. So we need a good rebounding 5, and then I would be satisfied with that. So I'm looking at like a Andre Drummond. I would love to have him. But I was like Jalen Duren, but I think Jalen Duren is kind of undersized for the 5 position. But like, I just keep our draft pick and trade some players or let go of some players that we got on our squad already. That 5 that we start.
So if you were to get rid of one of your players, would one of them be Marcus Smart?
Now, people have been talking about letting go of Marcus Smart. I don't think we should let Marcus Smart go because Marcus Smart, even though we have experience ourselves with the playoffs, Marcus Smart literally is probably the only player that we have that legit has experience. I think Derrick Rose does, but I think Derrick Rose gonna be. But I think Marcus Smart is the only player on the team that literally got finals experience because I think next year and the next couple of years to come for this Memphis Grizzlies squad is just going to complete. It's going to be complete success after success after success because we'll be back healthy. So it's I don't think we should let go of Marcus Smart simply because he does have that deep playoff run and that finals experience that that the other players on the team don't have. So I wouldn't say Marcus. I'm not sure because I love everybody on the squad, but I know that at the end of the day, our manager gonna have to make some our own whoever do it gonna have to make some calls and get these players off the team.
Yeah, I did not know. I didn't know y'all traded Steven Adams. So who did y'all trade him to?
I don't know who we play with. I think he went to the Rockies. I
He's
think
on the
he's with the Rockies.
Rockets.
I think so. And he actually got hurt before the season started.
Yeah, I know he
Uh,
was hurt. Yeah, but I didn't even know y'all traded him.
But the thing was, like media day. He was saying the plan was for him to start, and it's crazy because he actually did start in a couple of games in the preseason. He played in the preseason, even though during media day he did still say that his knee was giving him problems. So I'm thinking, oh, I don't think Adams is going to play the season. It still hurt because I was looking forward to one of the main we would have after summer 25 games. But Adams hurt. We traded him and now he's back on the court playing basketball. But he was out with us forever, so I do have a lot of questions for our medical staff over here and what it is. But the medical staff need to get everything on my.
Yeah,
He's
I didn't even know y'all traded Steven. I thought he was still on. I knew he was hurt, but I thought he was still on the team. I had no idea at all y'all traded him.
yeah.
But yeah. But yeah, I think this is gonna wrap up this episode. Maria, I appreciate you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Hopefully we could do more of these in the future. But is there anything else you want to say before we close out?
I did want to go deeper into the Angel Reese situation today. I gotta watch y'all mouth on my girl Angel Reese. That girl did some iconic stuff today. Everybody was after her name because of what she said in her post after the Iowa girl came out and declared for the draft through Vogue. So this icon, and she's gonna kill it in the pros like she did in high school and collegiate. That's it. I just want my praise. Give praise to Angel Reese.
All right, all right. But yeah, I appreciate you. Appreciate you for being here with me.